Hello, welcome to today's video. If you're new here, my name is Christine and I make bookish videos. So today is going to be a special one because it's a book rec. And I love making book recs because I just love filling your guys' like never-ending list of TBR because you know, both you and I, we're never going to finish that list, but we try and we keep adding to it. But anywho's, today's book recs will just be fully romance, so that's exciting. Our categories are contemporary romance, romantasy, dark romance, literary fiction, and one sci-fi romance. Additionally, I'll be adding the spice ratings and what the gist of the book is and what I thought about it and whether you should read it or not, or it's just up to your discretion because it's very opinionated. I have some books here that I love that some people find atrocious, and there's some books which are very loved by the book community, which I literally just gag at. So I will just tell you my honest reviews. I also want to add that the order of these books means nothing. It's literally random. And yeah. Okay, so while I'll put the books into categories, I will not be like categorizing them because I want this book rec to be as random as possible. And if I just like put contemporaries here, it's easy to compare the books. So if it's just randomized, like dark romance here, lit fic here, contempt here, like books just differing each time with no pattern, it gives the book a chance because it gets rid of comparison stuff. Yeah, so that is how I will be formatting this video. Firstly, we'll be talking about The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is a fake dating trope. So it's basically a graduate student ex-professor kind of trope, and the professor isn't really in any of her classes, so it's not like a violation or whatever. He's just a professor in the same university that she attends. So basically, Olive needs to convince her BFF that she's dating someone because Olive is the smartest person, known to man. She just randomly kisses this guy in the middle of the hallway so her best friend can leave her alone. And you know who she kisses? This guy named Adam Carlson, and he's known to be very grumpy and he's very intimidating to the point that people, his students, other professors are scared of him, but he has the most brilliant mind. So it's a really interesting clash of personalities. It's grumpy ex sunshine, and it's the kind of book where they're super grumpy and then they slowly start to turn sweet. So how is their relationship or fake relationship going to work out? Or is Olive just gonna get in trouble because she kissed the professor? Like a lot of Ali Hazelwood's books challenge like sexism in STEM and how honestly ugly it is. It has really witty dialogue. This is perfect when you're in a rom-com mood. Honestly, this was my first contemporary romance read and I ate her up within 24 hours. I still hold her deeply into my heart, so take that as you will. Spice rating, I'll say a 3. It's not overtly spicy, but there are spice scenes. Let's say like by the end. The next book is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood again. And this is kind of like the big daddy of Love Hypothesis. Like this is the creme de la creme of Ali Hazelwood. If you ask anyone what Ali Hazelwood book they've read, they're probably gonna say Love Theoretically. If you liked Love Hypothesis, you are gonna love this. And this one is Enemies to Lovers, which follows a physicist named Elsie who is navigating through the complexities of academia while trying to deal with her feelings for this man named Jack, who is her rival researcher. And why is he the rival, you ask? It is because he belittled Elsie's field of research to the point that it's ridiculed. People don't take it seriously anymore, and it's all because of a paper that Jack submitted to like this big article place. Yeah, so it just makes Elsie's life a lot harder, like literally a lot. Like she can't find a job. Yeah, but they fall in love. How does that go? It's still intimidating guy, kind of like grumpy, and they slowly start to soften to one another. Guy has tattoos from what I remember. The way the relationship is formed here is a lot better than The Love Hypothesis because it wasn't faked, but rather it's like more of a realistic development by being around them. I feel like Jack is so much more like dreamier than Adam. Like he's kind of like the Prince Charming guy. Like everything he does is literally a green flag, and it's Elsie that's honestly the red flag. Yes, our main girl protagonist is honestly the walking bomb. Like, and not in a good way. She has to deal with a lot of mental issues inside and outside because of like home life stuff. So we deal with a lot of like emotional repairing or honestly counseling for her to figure out how to love, but also Jack too, because he has like other different issues to think about. This was nice. This was really nice. Spice rating, it's the same as Love Hypothesis. This one goes a little bit more in depth. I say 3. It's like the same. It's only by the end, or you know, once relationship develops, but it is not the main plot point. Our next book is again by Ali Hazelwood. This one is called Not in Love, and this is one of Ali Hazelwood's more spicier novels. Like, it literally starts within like the first few chapters, because that is what built the relationship. Yeah, this one's kind of just like hate doing it. So Rue works in this company which one of her friends or kind of like mentors started up, but now it's being bought by this other company. One of like the founders of that, his name is Ellie, and basically he's just trying to buy it, which means not good for Rue's, you know, friend. So, you know, they're sleeping together. That's no good for the friendship. So they just gotta keep it secret. But love blossoms. So how are they gonna deal with that? But this attraction that they have, right? They know they're not supposed to do it, but Rue just is so hungry for him, and he's so hungry for her, that they're like, we're gonna do this in secret, no strings attached. And it's how to navigate a secret and like how you're hiding it. It's very smut driven. So if you're not into that, maybe this is not it. Let's say smut rating 4. I like this book. The antagonist, there's always antagonists in Ali Hazelwood's books. And I did not expect this one. I was like, whoa, this one is a fun read. If you want a smuttier read, I guess. So the next book we'll be talking about is Shark Heart by Emily Habik, and this is literary fiction. Basically, this guy gets a rare terminal illness where the illness slowly turns him into a great white shark. And he, you know, recently just got married, so how is his marriage impacted by this diagnosis? And it's a great way to think about terminal illnesses and how people have to deal with them, and how their relationships can either crumble or, you know, be formed through this. This is a romance where like it shows them meeting, but that's not the main point. It's about how they struggle together as a couple, and how like even through these horrible times they still find love and just the good in life still. It also talks about the caregiver burden and how one can deteriorate, not as someone with the illness, but mentally taking care of someone that literally can't do anything anymore. So yeah, this is not like, oh my gosh, I want romance kind of read. This is like a, I want to feel pain kind of romance kind of read. Shark Heart, spice level, literally none from what I remember, by the way. The next book is Little Stranger by Leigh Rivers. It's one of the more recent romance books I've read. This one is dark romance, and this is the first of a genre or subgenre of dark romance that I have read. Hear me out. They're siblings, but they're not. They come from different biological families, but they just got adopted by the same parent. So technically, they are siblings, but they are not blood related at all. It's very strange, but I did not hate it. The guy is very obsessive. If you've read Haunting Adeline, it's literally like this, but in a stepbro, stepsis kind of way. What I like about this book is the fact that we get more into the psyche of borderline personality disorder, and how the male protagonist's brain works, and how his mental state is deteriorating over time because of childhood trauma and honestly child abuse. So that's really interesting to read about. This is dual POV, and this leads me to its sequel, Little Liar. So this is a duology. It's called The Web of Silence duology, and Little Liar is honestly one of my favorite ones because it really delves into the deterioration of mental health. Our male protagonist gets so possessive and so deranged, and it's so nice to figure out why is he getting deranged, like what events led him to be like this. So it's a great case review if you're really into that. This one was a great read. Read it within like 24 hours, literally each book within 24 hours. It was that good. This is heavy smut. This is like 5 out of 5. It's a smut driven book, so if you're not into that, don't put this in. And this has spiders, and this is like very violent sexual stuff, so if you're not into that either, not this. It has like cutting. It has literally like the guy puts cigarette prints on her. But it's cute because he's mentally ill, I guess. Oh, and also the guy is mute and he basically only speaks to her, which is really cute, but it's sign language, and how hard it is. Like, to not be able to be understood by everyone, and that, you know, adds on to his mental health thing. Give it a shot. When I saw the first page and it was like talking about, you know, the family stuff, I was like, I don't think that's for me. But it grew on me. It really grew on me. Don't judge until you try it. Don't judge, please. The next book is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is her first romantasy debut. This one involves a vampire and a werewolf. So they get into this arranged marriage, and from there, you know, blossom. And their people hate each other, so a vampire being in a werewolf territory, it's hard on her, and how like she deals with it. How does she deal with the discrimination, the violence against her? And it also talks about like fates and soulmates. You know, sometimes the people that society deems not meant for you, your soul deems to be the perfect fit. So how do they deal with that? Spice level for Bride, the same as Ali Hazelwood books, maybe a little bit higher. Let's say like a 4. You see the werewolf anatomy, right? It's similar of a dog. So the base expands. So, you know, the baby maker can't go out. So impregnation, if you're into that. I don't think she's like taking this seriously, but it's giving me Twilight vibes. It's giving Jacob x Bella. You know, oh, I'm a vampire, I'm so cold. Oh, I'm a werewolf, I can transform. He's the alpha too. Our next book is the only different category from everything. This is a sci-fi romance, and it is called This Is How You Lose the Time War by Mal El Moton and Max Gladstone. This feels very lyrical. This feels very poetic. Like, there's a lot of metaphors in each chapter. It's not very straightforward. You kind of have to like puzzle it out into your brain. It's more poetic than like a novel, and it's made by 2 authors, so each author is one character, and basically they're sending letters to each other through a time war. Every letter, they're not the same. They can be in different time periods. They never get to see each other. They only leave letters. They're not like letters as in paper, because then their agencies will figure that out, and you know, they're gonna get killed. So they leave it in seeds. They leave it in tree trunks. There was one where one of our protagonists was with Genghis Khan, and they wrote this letter within like a lot of years, and every like ring of a tree they made like a letter for them. I don't know how it works. The other person comes after 150 years. When the tree is chopped up, they see the letter. So it's really cute. There was one where it's a seed, and they literally swallowed it. Slowly as the seed gets digested, they get like words. I read the whole book twice. Still don't understand how the letters work, but it's really cute. This one is LGBTQ, spice level none. This is more of like I'm like an English class, and I have to dissect a book, but it's honestly so beautiful if you're more into like a lyrical kind of mood, or a mood where you're like, what does this mean? This is the book. This is the book for you. The next book is Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is a contemporary romance, but this is not the average kind of like, oh my god, they're gonna get together and have like a happy ending kind of a romance. No, no. This is a great case study about like what love is, analyzes how relationships form and end, and why it does that, and what it does to your psyche. And sometimes the people you love the most you can't be together with. So how do you deal with that? This is Normal People. This is literally real life, and it's so complicated. Like, this is the most complicated book I've ever been in. You can't get mad at any of the characters' decisions, because in their head and your head it makes sense because you're in their shoes. But once the POV changes, there's more to unpack because there's more package with someone, and then they interpret that differently. Good read, but not in a way where you want romance. I remember there are like sexual scenes here, but it's not that driven by it. It's like there, like, so it's 1 or 2 spice levels. Don't come into this if you want spicy. It's just there because, you know, humans do that anyway. Also, I hope you don't mind that I'm not saying the characters' names. I'm talking about a lot of books. I don't think you'll remember any of the names. I don't remember any of the names. So I'm giving you the big gist of it. The next book is honestly a comfort read. It's Legends and Lattes. It's considered romantasy, but it is mostly cozy fantasy, and it is so cozy that like it shouldn't make you stressed. While stress is important for like plot points, you know, like the climax, it's gonna be fine. And basically, this is an LGBTQ romance, and we follow our protagonist, who is a very big green ogre who used to be like a warrior of some kind. Like, she used to battle, but now she wants to retire and just make a coffee shop. So we follow her into making a coffee shop and getting supplies, building, hiring people, and honestly forming relationships, which she has never done before. But you know, this is still a book. There's gonna be like antagonists and how she deals with them. And this is just so nice, and it's honestly like found family. If you want to read a lot of just forming relationships, forming a relationship with the town, loving the town, this is great. Romance is there. It's just not very explicit. But it's like daily contact, and it's the little things they do where you're like slowly developing feelings. So this is very slow burn, but it's still there. And this is less of like sexual romance, but rather emotionally like romantic, and it's honestly amazing. Spice level literally 0. The next one will be Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, and I'm just gonna talk about all the volumes here. Not really. It's the whole series. This is also LGBTQ, and this is a comic. This is the only one that's not mainly words as its like main form. And this is more YA. There's no spice. It's about the coming of age story, like being in high school, falling in love. How are you going to deal with if they're going to college? Like, what happens there? And also homophilia and how you deal with that, how you deal with coming out, bullying, but also like loving yourself, figuring out how to love yourself because you're trying to love someone else. This also deals with like eating disorders in later volumes. This is also really cozy. It's just falling in love in high school. Netflix came out for this, like a Netflix show. I don't know if I'll read it because not our like main guy, but like the guy he dates, right? He's supposed to be like bulkier, but he's not that bulky like in the show. So, and I love my big shoulder man, and he wasn't big shoulder, he was narrow, so I'm a little disappointed. But like I do get it. They're in high school. They shouldn't be like built, right? So, yeah, this is a cute read. I'll show you like pictures throughout here to show you what it looks like. The next book is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. And this is also like romantasy, but it's more historical fiction. They're enemies to lovers. Like they really hated each other when they were working together at a newspaper company because they were both writers. But then their country goes to war and we go into the war zone. Things flourish. And it's really good. The plot is good. There's a little bit of magical realism there because there's magic typewriters here where you type something up with a typewriter, put it under like something, and the other person with the other typewriter gets it. So it's like sending secret letters. It's really cute. But the wartime stuff, wow. And because of the wartime stuff, the second book, I'm so excited to read it. I haven't read it yet, but Divine Rivals is great. It's YA, so there's not much spice. At most, it's kissing. Yeah, but everything goes behind closed doors. Magical typewriters. Cute. The next book I will be talking about is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This one is a chess-based romance by Ali Hazelwood, and it's her first YA like book, so it's her YA debut. If you like chess, you're gonna like this. This two chess prodigies like start to fall in love, but one of them really dislikes chess because of some traumatic thing that happened in her past. The relationship can't work until she works on herself. So it's mainly like, I need to work on myself before we can be together. But, you know, the guy just waits so patiently, so calmly, so sweetly. So this is it. And the characters are younger. In other Ali Hazelwood books, they're like early 20s, late 20s. But this one, they're like, you know, just right out of high school, 18, 21. So yeah, this one has no smut. This one was a harder read by Ali Hazelwood for me. If you love chess, like you love the Queen's Gambit, this is so good. Like from the beginning to like, let's say 3/4 of the book, it did a really good explanation with like all the chess moves, like all the gambits or like all the openings and stuff. But by the end, it kind of just like goes, eh. It talks about this really important tournament game. Ali Hazelwood just never talks about the game. It just says, oh yeah, this person won. And it's like, girl, I wanted to see it. I also don't like YA that much, so I don't think this was meant for me because the girl was just so annoying. But you know, teenagers, well, she's 18, so I don't know. She's legally an adult, but her brain is a teenager. Yeah, simple things that she could have just said to people instead of bottling them up, could have swerved through that like problem stuff, but no, she just crashed into it, keep crashing into it, and she just blames herself, and it's just really annoying internal dialogue. But honestly, if you have mental problems, this happens, but it's honestly annoying. But that is just me. So if you like, you know, self-discovery, finding self-worth, getting out of a bad mental space, this is a good book for that. Yeah, and also the guy, he's literally waiting so patiently for her, and I'm like, he's literally so sweet, and she is honestly a ticking time bomb. Our next book is a romantasy. It's called From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and it's really long, by the way, the series. This is hella plot, but also hella romance. Like, it's a romance-driven plot, but plot-driven romance. It's very spicy, but it's not, but its main point isn't spice, so I'll say it's like a 4. Like, you don't read it for the spice, but it's there a lot. And basically, we follow this maiden named Poppy who lived in a very isolated life. It's very closed off, and she has to follow rules because she needs to ascend. And you know, she's part of the royal family, and she needs to do that. But she meets a guy named Hawk. We just follow the mystery of unraveling the kingdom, unraveling secret. What are the lies that Poppy was told? Like, everything about her life is just a lie. This is a great, like, more actiony book. And there also is a spin-off for this book. It's called Flesh and Fire, which talks about another maiden who basically has the same story as Poppy, but not annoying as Poppy, because Poppy from Blood and Ash is honestly so annoying because the action she makes, the things she say, it's honestly like brat. It's giving brat, and I really hate it. That is why I honestly like couldn't finish the series. It's because I couldn't stand Poppy and her actions. Like, I love the male protagonist, love him, but don't love Poppy. Um, but from Flesh and Fire, it's literally like the same thing that happens to Poppy, but amazing, amazing female lead. Like, what she chooses to do is what I choose to do, and it's not fucking and it's not fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Yeah, like, it's not an exact, but it's kind of like it's foretold, okay? It's foretold that their lives should be like similar, but not really. If you need to figure out more of that, go read the book. I cannot explain because so much happens. So much. Just read it. The next one, I'm just gonna bundle up in a series, the Dreamland Millionaire series. This one is spicy. Like 5 out of, no, like 4 out of 5 spice. Um, yeah, this is mostly a spice book. Like, if you're reading romance, if you want a happy ending, like, you know what you want for romance, right? That easy, you know, that easy epilogue, you know, some scenes. This is the book. And when they say Dreamland, they're basically saying Disneyland. It's 3 separate stories about the loves of different brothers, and basically when their grandfather dies, who owns basically you know, Dreamland, they give conditions to each brother to fulfill before they can inherit their part of Dreamland or the money. And if they don't fulfill that, the inheritance goes to their father, which they hate. These things they have to do, they mainly involved women. And yeah, Dreamland. If you want billionaire romance, this is it. Like, what can I tell you? If you want my opinion, I loved it while reading. I thought this was like creme de la creme. But after I read it, I was like, this is garbage. Like, honestly, what did I read? It's cute at the moment, but if you reflect back, you're like, what did I read? I think the third book is the most fleshed out. Like, the people actually have personalities and problems and emotional turmoil. But other than that, it's like an easygoing romance. Like, nothing can go wrong with that. Okay, the next one will be a dark romance, cat and mouse duet. So haunting and hunting Adeline. You know, this is the creme de la creme of romance. I like it. It deals a lot with, you know, sex trafficking, and that's the main plot point is sex trafficking. So if honestly you want to understand the networking and like the whole dilly-dallying of that, this is a good book to read. You know, there's a lot of violence, people get kidnapped. The smut is there. The smut is what people love, and it's kind of like a hide little mouse, like I'll come chase you, like run little mouse, and they do it on trees. You know, our female protagonist is basically being stalked, so it's a stalker kind of like thing too. You don't know what they look like. It's all that like mysterious dark romance things that people love. Violent, you know, blood is gonna be involved. There's this scene with a pew pew where it goes in, so if you like that, oh yeah, this is the creme de la creme of dark romance. So if you want something darker, something more violent, something more taboo, not really taboo, yeah, that's great. I love it. Next one, Satan's Affair. It's the prequel for Haunting Adeline, and it follows a different character named Sibby. And I'm sorry, but this is my 6-star book. Like, it's the only romance that I've ever put a 6-star on, and it's my absolute favorite because it deals with a mentally ill female protagonist. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but that mental illness really comes into fruition by the end of the book, and you're gonna be like, "Are you kidding? This is amazing!" Like, I have never seen a book crafted like this. It is amazing. It's shorter than the Haunting Adeline series, probably like 100 to 100 pages, and it's very smut driven. Yeah, we're gonna give her a 5 smut rating, and it deals with multiple partners. It's my only book that I think I've read that has multiple partners, and if you haven't read a book like that, you should read it because they're all like friendly to each other and they're very like cooperating. They work together and it works so well. I've never had a book like this. And it's dark romance. It's gonna, the scenes are gonna be violent. It's gonna be a little weird. It's gonna be rough. But that's the good part, right? Sometimes you don't want sweet. Sometimes you want like devouring, something feral. Don't judge. Next book, Happy Place by Emily Henry. It is contemporary romance. And this is not the romance to read if you're like, I want, something cute. This is Emily Henry. She's gonna make it a little bit more complicated. So basically, our protagonist actually dated before and they broke up, and only because of their friend's wedding do they reunite again. And it's a fake dating trope. They have to fake that they're still fiancés, and we find out why their relationship crumbled. It's just a lot of misunderstandings, if I'm being honest, but it's the intricacies of like the human psyche, and human relationships itself is very hard. So that is what this book is about. It's really great, and everyone's keeping secrets. Not only so, it's really great to uncover the past and what led them to the present. Yeah. Our next one is Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, the Imperial series by Rebecca Yarros. It is honestly the new Romantasy classic, like the new king of Romantasy. They literally dethroned Akatar. So this one involves dragons. This one involves kind of like divergent training. This kind of involves a little bit of Hunger Games. It kind of gives Game of Thrones a little bit. Yeah, but we got like the mysterious tan male protagonist that we shouldn't like because, society hates him. He's a traitor. His parents are traitors, but he's hot. That's the big point. Someone's keeping secrets. Society's keeping secrets. We find out the society secrets. It's honestly great. It's like, I don't want to say Harry Potter, but there's a lot of like school stuff going on, a lot of training, big training arc. But this also has smut, but it's not driven by smut. So let's say a 3 smut. Yeah, the dragons can talk to you. It's so cute. They also get powers. Yeah, these people get powers and the school tries to teach them how to control it. But the school is weird. They're censoring stuff. They're not giving all the info, or the info isn't lining up from what they're seeing. Dragons, powers, training arc. What can't you love? And like a hot guy. Hot guy, mysterious guy, the guy in the dark side. Thing is also enemies to lovers. Enemies to lovers. Okay. Next one is King of Wrath by Anna Huang, but it is contemporary romance and it is also enemies to lovers. Pretty sure they're in an arranged marriage. But this one is mostly smut driven. Let's say like 4 smut. It's like an Italian mafia kind of thing. Not Italian mafia, but it's like rich guy. But it's a guy that has anger issues, man. I don't like it. I'm sorry. I don't like it. Guy has anger issues. Guy shouldn't be treating girl like that. He should work on his mental health. Very possessive. Like, honestly, this would go better in dark romance category. Kidnap someone, But if you want a more rougher, but also vanilla, kind of like smut-driven romance, this is it. King of Wrath. As you can see, I don't like this book that much. Next one is a contemporary romance called The Last Letter, and it is by our girl, Rebecca Yarros. Yes, the author that made Fourth Wing has a contemporary romance. It was released before Fourth Wing. So this is like secretive romance, kind of. Female protagonist's brother dies in the war, and the only thing keeping her stable is her brother's best friend. But then the brother's best friend also goes missing. But actually he's not. He just forgot to send a letter, but he was just scared to send a letter. He basically goes to her Airbnb. He doesn't say that he was the brother's best friend. He didn't say that, he was the guy that was helping her through all of this because he was afraid. Because he was like in love with her, but he shouldn't be in love with her. So he's trying to make her fall for him, but also trying not to make her fall for him. Like he's trying not to love her, but it's really hard. But she doesn't know who his real identity is. Like he's not showing it. So it's kind of like, it's like really sweet love, but also a little bit deceitful because he's not saying the truth. But it's honestly really sweet, and he's just trying to protect himself, and that's how he can protect himself from what happened and, you know, from guilt and stuff. And this one has a kid. The female protagonist has a kid, so it's a really cute interaction, and, you know, it's like a deal breaker. You have to like my kid if you want to like me. And the kid really likes him. It's so sweet. So it's kind of like found family. How are you going to deal with lies, deceitfulness, loyalty? It's really cute. And this is more, not rom-com, but if you want that, like, I'm going to cry a little, but not too much emotional romance, this is good. It's a little spicy, but not too much, but it's like still there. So let's say 3 spicy. It's not the main plot point, but it does drive the plot quite a bit because they do have sexual attraction to one another. Yeah. Okay, so the next book will be a YA romantasy called Once Upon a Broken Heart. We follow our female protagonist where we're in this world where there are fates who can grant your wishes but at a price. And our female protagonist gets so heartbroken because the love of her life doesn't choose her. So she begs to the fate. She makes a deal with the fate to help her bring back her love but at a price. And that's it. Their lives are intertwined because she made this thing. So it's kind of like proximity romance, enemies to lovers. We find more about more things about the fates, so it's a little bit of mythological mystery, not mystery, but magical realism. There's a lot of adventure here, you know, sneaking around, trying not to get killed. This one's really cute. But the sequel is the most beloved because the ending of the sequel is amazing. But then the third one apparently like doesn't get too good. So, you know, read at your discretion. If you want to stop at the second book, go ahead. But it's really good. It does have plot. It does have action. It's romantasy, so it's not like the real world. It's the own separate world. I imagine it as kind of like foresty. It's really cute. Enemies to lovers. Our male protagonist isn't really like grumpy. He gives me kind of like Gojo vibes. I kind of like just everywhere. He's very like, ah, you know, he's very quirky, he's very loud, he's very spontaneous. And it's the female protagonist that's more down to earth, the more like, you know, can you like lower it down? The next book we're gonna be talking about is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This is a contemporary read. If you've seen The 7-Year Slip, it's very bright yellow. A lot of people in booktube really love it. Like 4 or 5 star, even a 6 star. I fucking hated it. I hated this with a passion that every time I see the book cover, I get kind of like PTSD or kind of like a gag reflex. It's magical realism. It's this apartment that our female protagonist gets from her aunt. It puts her back to 7 years in the past, and 7 years in the past, this other guy was living in there. So, you know, they fall in love, but it's like not in the same time period. How does that work? Are they gonna see each other in the future? What happens if they see each other in the future? Actually, it's a main plot point. They see each other in the present day, but the guy doesn't seem to recognize her. So she's like, what happened within these 7 years? Does he even know I exist? Did this really happen? That kind of thing. It's really cool. The concept is really cool. But tell me why she couldn't shut the fuck up about her aunt for literally 2 pages. I tell you, girl, every 2 pages, she has to talk about her aunt, like a memory about her aunt, how her aunt was so great, how she misses her aunt, how good these times is with her aunt, these memories with her aunt. Girl, I don't care about your aunt. This is your love story. I don't need a fucking memoriam for your aunt. Okay, I'm sorry. Someone had to say it. Everyone loves this book, but everyone glosses around the aunt thing. Can our female protagonist just not talk about her for a while and I'll be happy? Come on. I'm sorry. I don't like this book. I don't like this book. Good idea, good execution. Get rid of the fucking aunt. Our last book is The Song of Achilles. This one is more mythological. It's also LGBTQ, and it is the love story, or rather the devastation, between Patroclus and Achilles. And you know, it's mythology, but it's their forbidden love with each other, how they deal with that, how they deal with societal obligations, but also how did their love flourish. And it's a story following them when they were kids to like their eventual deaths and what happened in their life, what shaped the way they did. This one will make you cry. This is not a comfy read. This is a crying at 5 a.m. read. I remember when I first read this, I stayed up until like 5 a.m. I remember watching the sunrise as literal waterfalls fell. Yeah. The Song of Achilles, there's some sexual scenes, so I'll give it a 1, but it's not focused on that. But it's like part of the story, not really. Yeah. So that was all for this video. I hope it felt like, you know, we're girlfriends and I'm just trying to give you book recs, but like sometimes I make no sense because I dissociate, but also I'm loving your presence And I just want you to read good books, even though when you're talking with each other, besties, you're not prepared to give an essay about this book you love. You're just gonna remember the main points. And yeah, you're just trying to recommend these books. And that is what this video was. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope your health is good. I hope you're drinking enough water. I hope you're walking outside. Maybe not because of hurricane. Sorry about that. Next video will be a vlog. It'll be like our normal broadcasted thing. Bye bye.